Hi everyone, I just thought I'd jump on really quickly because I'm doing some dark waxing, and I just had a lady come into our little vintage shop and she had done some dark waxing and it hadn't gone right, and she was really concerned about it, and I gave her a few tips, and I was doing some myself, so I thought let's just show everyone that it's not too scary and you can do it. So what I'm doing it on is I normally do dark waxing and different colors of waxing on smaller items, not so much some of my bigger furniture items. I might glaze those. So I put together some altered books because I wanted to use some of my stamps and stencils and molds, and this is one I'm working on here. So I don't know if you can see that, but that is just an old book, and I have painted it with really textured with Newton's paint. I really like the Newton's paint for these sorts of things, and now I'm going to do some waxing, and I've got some other books here too, and I'll show you some of those. These are really fun, and I'm actually thinking about maybe doing a class in it, and we'll just see how we go. So anyway, what I have done is I've painted my book, and the first thing before doing white, black or brown, any sort of coloured waxing, is to clear wax your piece first, because that means you can move your dark or your coloured wax around and it won't stick, because they tend to have a stain in them. If you put it straight onto your painted item, it'll just stain the paint and just stick there, and you won't have any control over it at all. So I always decant all my waxes, and again, I quite like the Newton's waxes for this. They've got this nice new one which is a clear beeswax polish, which is nice and soft, and they have a white wax, a brown wax, and like a black wax. I think you've seen that before. So I've just put a little bit of wax into a plastic container. I've got an old rag, and I've actually already waxed this one. So I've waxed it all over, but maybe I'll just do a little bit on this other book I've got just to show you. It's like super easy. So this is another altered book I've done, got some molds on it, and you can see it's quite matte. So I've just got some of my wax on a rag. I'm just going to rub it in and just get it all around all the crevices and all that sort of thing. And waxing is a bit like polyurethaning. It's usually makes your colours pop a bit more, sing a bit more. So yeah, makes them stand out and be a little bit more intense. So just rubbing that all in, and because this is an altered book and it's going to have like lots of stuff happening to it, I'm not being too fussy. Then I've got over here just an old Chucks cloth, or like a $2 version of the Chucks cloth, because these are lint free, really good. And I'm just buffing my clear wax piece, and that smells really nice actually, and buffing it all over just to get all the excess wax off, and then it just looks like that. So, and then that offers some protection to the decorative finish that you've done. You're not going to see the dark waxing on this one, so I'll go back to my blue one. So I had already clear waxed that, and then I've got all my waxes here just in a little plastic container, and then I use these cut down brushes, just again from the $2 shop, just artist brushes. They're usually quite long. I use the oil ones because they're nice and stiff and hard, and I cut them, the bristles, in half. I use those for my wax brushes, and you can see this is how big they are. So they're really small, because with waxing, and especially dark waxing, you really only want to put it in very few places, in your nooks, your crannies, and your crevices. You don't want to put it all over. If you do that, your piece will end up looking muddy and dirty. So this gives you heaps of control, because you can just put it into really small areas. So I've got a white one, a brown one, and a black one. And on this piece I'm using the brown wax. I'm just going to put it into my wax, and then I'm just going to push it, I hope you can see that, into the crevices that this mould that I stuck on, which I've had forever, and I didn't really know what it's going to do with it, but I think it's going to look pretty cool on this book. Yeah, just into all the crevices, and so that, and I'm pushing it in because I want it to stick in to places and not get wiped off. So it looks pretty yucky, like that. There you go. So now I'm going to take this is my old yucky cloth. You can use any old rag. This is just a nice cheesecloth. I'm just going to rub the excess off. And basically you do that to taste until you've got the effect that you want. So you're rubbing pretty much most of it off and just leaving some of it in the nooks and crannies. So I might just do a little bit more, and I'll show you. I have to pick up my brush, sorry. Right. So I'll just do it along this edge as well, and then all kind of in here. I'm really going to stab it into this design because this design has got lots of pattern. So again, looks pretty yucky. Get my rag, and I have one for each colour because I don't really want to get them mixed up, and just wiping most of it off, and it just kind of sticks in all the little crevices, or where you've got maybe some texture from some of the paint or your brush marks or something like that. And then if I can show you that, so, and then that just really makes all these details pop. So compare this top bit to this bottom bit, yeah, the detail's still nice, but it really makes it pop up here. And with these books, I'm really wanting them to look old and used and be decorative. So, and I've put plastic around them. This is a wee tip if you're wanting to do these yourself. Put plastic around the inside and make them so you can still read them. And then they're still decorative, but they're still usable as well. So hope that was helpful. So yeah, it's kind of one of those less is more, and just having control with a small brush. Okay, see ya.